Okay, so next up for year nines, we're moving on to travel writing. Now, with travel writing, there are several different types. Some types of travel writing are purely facts and giving you information about a place that you might want to go to. Other pieces will use some persuasive techniques because if you think about travel brochures, really what they're trying to do is to persuade you to go to those places to visit various different landmarks. So we'll start off with the factual stuff and then we'll move on looking at different types of travel writing and looking at how we can use persuasive techniques using them. So to begin with then, we're going to look at a piece of writing about the Statue of Liberty and do a few different activities looking at how that piece of writing has been organised and how the information has been clearly presented to us. So let's have a read through to begin with. The Statue of Liberty was presented to America by the people of France in celebration of the alliance of the two nations which contributed to the United States gaining independence. In his official acceptance statement in 1886, President Cleveland said, "We will not forget that liberty here made her home, nor shall her chosen altar be neglected." Sculptor Frederick Bartholdi modelled the statue, officially Liberty Enlightening the World, on a huge scale. Liberty is 152 feet tall. She weighs 2,225 tons, has a 30-foot waistline. Her index finger is 8 feet long, and even one of her fingernails is 13 inches long. The spikes in her crown represent either the 7 oceans or continents of the world, and her torch represents enlightenment. The tablet in her hand is inscribed with July the 4th, 1776, the day of America's independence. So we're going to start off looking at activity 1, which you can see in front of you. As it says, the passage on the Statue of Liberty contains the following types of information. Put these in the order they're organised in the text. Write a number for each type to show the correct order. So that should only take you a couple of minutes. Just reread the information about the Statue of Liberty. So if you just pause this, pause at the moment for a couple of minutes and try and do activity 1, the order that those 4 different things come in that piece of writing. So for activity 1 then, the answers you should have got, we've got political importance. That was the first thing in paragraph 1. Then when it was officially accepted, that's also in paragraph 1 where it tells us about 1886 with President Cleveland giving his speech. In paragraph 2, we've got facts and figures and also mixed in with physical appearance. So that's the order of the things that you should have had there. So the second activity we're going to do based on this piece of writing is activity 2 that you can see in front of you now. Now obviously you'll need to rewind slightly so you can see that piece of information about the Statue of Liberty again. So if you write down the 8 bullet points that we've got in activity 2, and we're looking at whether or not those different features have been used, and if they have, you need to write down an example of them. So we're looking for whether complex sentences using connectives such as although and because have been used in that piece of writing, whether we've got any simple sentences containing 1 clause and 1 verb, whether we've got any modal verbs such as may and might, whether we've got any first person writing in there that's showing feelings and opinions, whether it's written in the third person, if we've got an informal tone, so using slang, everyday expressions and vocabulary, whether we've got any formal vocabulary in there, making it much more impersonal, and whether there are any compound sentences. So we've got a simple sentence and then a comma, a semicolon, or a connective such as and, linking it to the next part of the sentence. So you need to write down those 8 bullet points and then go back a little bit so we can look back at the piece of writing about the Statue of Liberty and try and find examples of those things. And then the second part to activity 2, it asks us what reasons might the writer have had for choosing to use some of these features in the writing and not others. Think about why the text has been written and who is going to read it. Okay, so you should give yourself between 5 and 10 minutes to have a go at activity 2, please. So the things that you should have found examples of in there, obviously it's written in the third person. We've not got any first person. This isn't a piece of writing that gives us opinions or feelings. It's purely a factual piece of writing. So written in the third person, one example would be in paragraph 2, Liberty is 152 feet tall. She weighs 2,225 tons, etc. Again, we haven't got any informal writing. It's not a chatty piece of writing or something like the way that you'd speak to a friend. It's written in a formal way. And an example of that would be in that first sentence where it says it was given to America by the people of France in celebration of the alliance of the two nations, and so on. We also find compound sentences in there. So an example of that would be the final sentence: the tablet in her hand is inscribed with July the 4th, 1776, the day of America's independence. Second part to the activity: what reasons might the writer have had for choosing to use some of these features in the writing and not others? Well, it needs to be fairly simple, but not very, very basic. You don't want to have a piece of writing like this as if it's written for children. However, we do need to make sure that everybody can understand it and it's not so complicated that people can't understand what it's all about. So it needs to be in the middle. Obviously, it's going to be something that travellers are going to be reading, and generally they would be adults. It needs to be informative, so obviously it's using facts, but it's not a piece of writing where we would find opinions. Our final activity, based on the Statue of Liberty, you can see in front of you now. It says use the picture on this page and the information that we've just read and the fact box below to write a section about the Statue of Liberty for a travel guide. So with the facts that we've got: viewing galleries in the Torch and the Crown. We've got an elevator and a spiral staircase. The height of the statue, 152 feet. A museum in the base. And exhibitions on construction of the statue and experiences of immigrants. We'll show you a little bit of guidance now as to how to write this piece. So let's just go through these 4 or 5 steps then. So first step, make a list of the features that a visitor might find interesting. For example, the spiral staircase. There's lots of things that people are going to find interesting about the Statue of Liberty. Second thing then, number the features in the order that you'll write about them. So think about what tourists might want to do most, what they would find interesting. Make sure it's a logical order that you're writing this information in. The next step, step 3, write your information page. And we've got some guidance here as things that we need to remember when we're doing this type of writing. Begin with a general statement before you move on to specific details. Write in the present tense to describe the statue as it is now. Use the past tense if you refer to the history of the statue, and we've got lots of information about the history of it. Write in the third person. Vary your sentence types, and so we've got 3 different sentence types there that you can use in this piece of information. Step 4 then is editing and refining your work. It says obviously review it with a partner. You can get somebody at home to have a look at it, see what they think, and again, like all these pieces of work that you're doing, if you want to email it to me, absolutely fine. Okay, this should take you probably 20 to 25 minutes. Off you go.